If you decide to attack the Strait of Hormuz and enter the Persian Gulf, first of all, you will face an exceptionally difficult and painful response. Secondly, we will break the naval siege that we have been patient with so far and have not attacked you. But more importantly, I tell you that we may withdraw from the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Do you know what this threat means? What will happen to you if we withdraw from the NPT? So turn back from this path.
Iran has thrown down the gauntlet at President Trump, escalating tensions around the globe's most critical oil choke point and daring Washington to respond. Iran has openly challenged U.S. naval power in the Strait of Hormuz, signaling a direct test of American sea control in one of the world's busiest shipping lanes. Tehran has threatened to withdraw from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty if President Trump takes action in the Strait of Hormuz, raising fears of a dangerous escalation with far-reaching nuclear implications. Iranian officials mockingly declared that 50 years of insecurity ended, portraying recent moves as the end of U.S. dominance in the Gulf and a dramatic reversal of regional power dynamics. As President Trump instructs U.S. negotiators not to rush into a deal with Tehran, diplomatic channels grow strained and the window for a quick diplomatic resolution narrows. Iran bluntly told President Trump, "We control Hormuz now," while simultaneously blaming Israel for regional unrest, using the rhetoric to justify its posture and rally domestic and allied support. Iran is now openly linking any U.S. military move in the Strait of Hormuz to the risk of a nuclear escalation, warning that actions at the Chokepoint could trigger consequences far beyond conventional confrontation. A senior advisor close to Mojtaba Khamenei warned that America risks provoking a massive escalation if U.S. forces enter the Strait of Hormuz, suggesting the stakes could rapidly spiral out of control. Iran has threatened painful retaliation against any aggression and has hinted it could quit the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty amid rising Gulf tensions, heightening international alarm over a possible nuclear dimension. Rezaei further asserted that Iran has the legal right to manage and secure the Strait of Hormuz, framing Tehran's moves as legitimate defensive measures under international and domestic law. Tehran claimed that control over Hormuz would mark the end of what it calls 50 years of Gulf insecurity and instability, casting its actions as a historic correction of regional power imbalances. Iran blamed Israel and what it calls the Greater Israel Vision for much of the Middle East's instability, using the allegation to justify its regional posture and rally domestic support.
Security is important to us. Managing the Strait of Hormuz is our legal right. If you decide to attack the Strait of Hormuz and enter the Persian Gulf, first of all, you will face an exceptionally difficult and painful response. Secondly, we will break the naval siege that we have been patient with so far and have not attacked you. But more importantly, I tell you that we may withdraw from the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. Do you know what this threat means? What will happen to you if we withdraw from the NPT? So turn back from this path. This is the final stage, which, by the grace of Almighty God, will determine the fate of all these 47 years, ensuring that we will have security in Iran for the next 50 years. Why should Iran be the one to manage the Strait of Hormuz? Because we don't want a military invasion in the Persian Gulf. We have stopped the invasion. We have stopped the insecurity. The Strait of Hormuz is closed for prevention of insecurity and military invasion, to stop creating another war in the Persian Gulf, whether against Iran or against other countries. Strait of Hormuz is closed. Yes, the Strait of Hormuz is closed in that sense, but for free trade, it is open. On the one hand, we have our finger on the trigger for the fourth battle, the fourth Karamshar, name given to battles in the recent war. On the other hand, of course, our officials are also negotiating to precisely restore the rights of the Iranian people. That's the situation we are currently in. About negotiation, the Islamic Republic has put the least costly path before you. The Islamic Republic is telling you that if you continue the war, we will make the American people miserable and the American economy miserable. Iran is here for a fair negotiation with you. You, the United States, are the ones who martyred our supreme leader and dear commanders. That we are still talking to you. You should consider a valuable opportunity for yourselves.
Meanwhile, Tasneem News reports that a negotiated U.S.-Iran agreement could restore normal shipping traffic through the Strait of Hormuz within 30 days, suggesting diplomacy could quickly ease the commercial disruption if both sides choose to engage. Donald Trump made a major claim about ongoing Iran negotiations while gunfire erupted outside the White House on May 23, according to official statements and social media posts. The US president announced on Truth Social that a US-Iran agreement had been largely negotiated, pending final details and formalization. He also stated that he held a very good call with regional leaders and a separate discussion with the Israeli Prime Minister during the same period. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I am in the Oval Office at the White House where we just had a very good call with the leaders of countries across the region, and all things related to a memorandum of understanding pertaining to peace. An agreement has been largely negotiated, subject to finalization between the US, Islamic Republic of Iran, and the various other countries, as listed. Final aspects and details of the deal are currently being discussed, and will be announced shortly. In addition to many other elements of the agreement, the Strait of Hormuz will be opened." Unquote. Trump's statement did not include any direct reference to Iran's nuclear program or its uranium stockpile. Shortly after, Iranian state-linked media outlet Fars News Agency pushed back against the claims, saying the status of the Strait of Hormuz remained under Iranian control. Fars described the US president's account of the negotiations as incomplete and inconsistent with the situation on the ground. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei said Tehran and Washington were moving closer to a 14-point memorandum of understanding. Esmail Baghaei said, and I quote, "We are now in the finalization stage of this memorandum of understanding. The topics being discussed at this stage focus broadly on ending the war, halting the US naval aggression, what they themselves have labeled a naval blockade, and issues related to the release of Iran's blocked assets. Our approach has been to first draft a memorandum of understanding consisting of 14 articles. That memorandum would include the most important issues necessary to end the imposed war and matters of fundamental importance to us. Subsequently, within a reasonable timeframe of 30 to 60 days, the two sides would discuss the details of these issues and ultimately reach a final agreement." Unquote. Baghaei said issues related to Iran's nuclear program were not currently part of the discussions. He also stated that the Strait of Hormuz was not under US jurisdiction and should be managed by regional stakeholders such as Iran and Oman. Esmail Baghaei said Iran and Oman should jointly determine the future management mechanism of the Strait of Hormuz, stressing that both countries are coastal states responsible for ensuring safe transit. At the same time, reporting from the New York Times suggested that Tehran had agreed to a broader framework involving a halt to fighting and possible reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. The report also claimed that discussions included the potential release of frozen Iranian assets worth billions of dollars, alongside wider regional de-escalation measures. Additional reporting from the Times indicated that Arab and Muslim majority leaders were encouraging acceptance of the proposed framework. At the same time, Axios reported that the United States and Iran are close to finalizing a proposed 60-day ceasefire agreement. The report said the proposed memorandum of understanding would extend the current ceasefire arrangement for another 60 days while broader negotiations continue.